People who quit their jobs on the spot. What happened? 1. At the last minute, my manager revoked my Christmas leave. My wife was terminally ill, my daughter was about to move off to college, and it would be our last Christmas together, ever again. It's the only time in my life I've ever said F you to a boss's face. 2. I was working for a major video game company back in 2003. We were in crunch time, working from 7 a.m. to 2 a.m., 6 days a week. Right before lunch, our supervisor walks in and says, "Good news everyone, we get to come in on Sundays now, but it's only a half day." The moment he was done with his speech, I walked over to his desk and told him I was quitting immediately. He warned me that I would never work in the game industry again since I didn't give a proper 2 weeks notice. I told him that was fine and finished my day. I ended up working in the industry for another 3 years until I freaked out and quit for good. Never again. 3. I got told I wouldn't be getting a raise because I asked for the raise. But apparently, if I hadn't asked, I would have gotten it. My boss then said I was on the bad list of the higher boss, for asking, and that I wouldn't get a raise for at least a few months. Yeah, I quit right there. 4. Head mechanic at a small but busy bicycle shop. Been there 5 years or so with no raises other than the promise soon. The owner showed up with a nice new car and started the same old spiel about there not being enough money to offer a raise of any sort. Told him to get stuffed, walked out, and went down to the main competitor down the street. Better pay and better place to work. Once word got out I was there, a lot of the clientele followed me. The old place was out of business within about 9 months or so. 5. I had a verbal agreement with my manager that she'd reduce my hours so I could continue working during the school year. She put me on for 40 hours per week on the first school-time schedule. I spoke to her about it and reminded her of her word. She stonewalled and denied everything. I apologized and walked out of her office. I graduated and got a good job writing software. 30 years later, Kmart no longer exists. 6. Had a supervisor who was really unprofessional and disrespectful. When I turned in my 2 weeks, I also left a personal note for my manager telling them exactly why I was quitting and that I refused to work any more shifts with the supervisor during my exit period. First week was fine, but I walked in one day and there was the supervisor. Gave them a chance, but they quickly pulled some crap, so I walked out and skipped my remaining shifts. No spectacle, but I'm still proud that I stood up for myself. 7. District manager at Applebee's decided that my request off for a school competition, which I had put in months earlier and had been approved, was just not going to work anymore, and changed the schedule without telling me. I didn't come in because I didn't know. Then, like 2 months later, my mom called in for me because I was projectile vomiting from flu or food poisoning, and he yelled at her. As soon as I could walk without barfing, I took my uniform in, handed it to him, and left. 8. My boss had me riding in the same vehicle as someone he knew had a highly infectious illness, and it was our job to go into homes of both infants and elderly people.